Today on Video Game Noob, we're going to learn a little bit about gear and abilities, and we're going to visit Spyke and say hello because he seems kind of lonely in the alley. So if you look on this screen, the plus sign will be equipment, and you can see what equipment you have. And as you go through it, so for example, I like this helmet, which I got from the cat. If I hit X, it shows me a bunch of icons. Now, some of those I've actually learned what they are, and one of them, the top one, says swim speed up, so you know what it is. But if you hit X again, it flips over and it actually shows you what each of these are. Very useful. So as you can tell, I like having swim speed up as the main ability. Now the three bottom ones, those sub abilities, 3 of those equals the one on top. In other words, each of those is 1/3 as powerful as the one on top. So if I had 3 swim speeds on the bottom, that would be the same as the one on the top. But as the cat will tell you, there's diminishing returns. In other words, the 3 on the bottom aren't going to be quite a whole additional swim speed up. How's the equation work? Well, there's websites online that explain the percentages, but it's more important just to have the basic idea down. You're not going to be able to just make everything swim speed up and then have like this amazing rocket speed. The more and more you add, the less and less it's going to give you. My rule of thumb is, if you have something in one of your main abilities, then maybe 3 more somewhere in the sub-abilities, but not more than that. Because the other things that you put down there are going to have more effect. And I'm going to go through some of the abilities. I'm not going to cover all of them because there's a lot of them. But if you ever want to see what all the abilities are, if you hit gear on your gamepad, down here is an ability guide. And then you can click on any of these and it will tell you what they do. See? It shows you the description right there. So, as I discussed in another video, you get gear by going to the stores. So, for example, in this store you have the headgear, also known as hats, although there's other things. And again, if you hit X, it flips it over and tells you exactly what that main ability does. Now each piece of gear also has a brand. See on the upper right corner it says Fire Fin, and there's a little, I don't know what that is, Tent Attack, Scallop, Inkline. That tells you the brand. Each brand has more likelihood of getting specific sub-abilities when you re-roll them with Spyke. And I'm going to show you what that means, but just keep that in mind. If there's a specific sub-ability you want, you're going to want to get something from a specific brand with your main ability that you're looking for, and then you can roll for the sub-abilities that you also want. So let's go visit Spyke in the plaza. How all of that works. So we go running over here. It's always nice to pay a visit to the cat and say hello, and especially if you've leveled up. At minimum, if you've been playing for a while, he's going to give you some money and some tips. But if you've leveled up to a landmark level, like I just leveled up to 40 and he gave me a new gun, so that was pretty cool. Meanwhile, over here in the secret dark alley is Spyke. Now, I was really confused by Spyke when I first started this, and I'm still a little confused as to why they have this guy who looks like a junkie in a back alley. But be that as it may, you can order stuff from him, and you don't actually order it from him, but you walk up to people in the plaza, you order it from them, and then the next day you come over here and he'll have stuff that you ordered and you can buy it. But right now what we're going to look at is slots. If you have a piece of gear that doesn't have all of the slots, then you can add slots. For example, this hat only has 1 slot. What do I mean by a slot? See that little question mark? If I ask him to add a slot, he'll take one of my sea snail slugs or whatever they're called, and in exchange he'll add one more slot to that, so it has 2, and then I can add another one to it as well. But for a piece of gear that already has everything filled, I've got all 3 slots already filled, I can re-roll them. And again, it's going to cost one of those slugs. If I re-roll them, then it will go like a jackpot, re-roll them, and I'll come up with whatever I come up with. And as I mentioned, the brand of the piece of gear is going to help determine what you are most likely to roll. I'll add a link below this video in the description that explains all that. Hey, look, an airplane. So, and there is no shooting allowed in this zone. So I don't know what Spyke is doing here, because I think he's been doing some shooting. All right, and here's some other people who want to talk to Spyke. So we'll let them have their private conversation. They might have some kind of deal going on that we don't want to be involved with. As I mentioned, you can walk up to people out here, and if you see someone wearing something that you like, then you hit X, and see, I can order any of these things from Spyke, and then when I go in there the next day, Spyke will sell that to me. Okay, so what do each of the abilities do, and which abilities should you get? Well, all I can say is what I have. You know, it's personal preference, and it really depends on your style of playing. For me, I've got this headgear because A, it looks cool, but B, it has swim speed up, which to me is the most important. The next most important is run speed up, and you can see one of the subs there is another swim speed, so that's adding more swim speed also. And then finally, ink resistance up. So I can run a little faster, I can swim a little faster, and you notice 2 more swim speeds up. So I have 3 total swim speed ups in the subs. I have 1 main swim speed up. So obviously my focus is swim speed. Ink resistance I consider to be essential. If you step in your opponent's ink, it slows you down, you're easier to kill. At least this gives you a fighting chance, and you can even swim a little bit in enemy ink. Not much, but a little bit. So you might survive, whereas you might have been killed. To me, that's an important ability. Now, a lot of people, and I've watched other tutorials and I've read other things online, a lot of people are big fans of Ninja Squid. Ninja Squid means when you swim, no one can see you. But if you get that, it also slows you down, which to me, that's not very fair. You're trading one thing for another, so that's not really an ability, that's a trade. If I get swim speed up, I'm not giving up anything else. But if I get Ninja Squid, I'm giving up swim speed, which I'm personally not willing to do, because to me, going fast is more important than being invisible in the ink. I think it's pretty hard to see people in the ink when they're swimming anyway. When you're in the heat of the battle, you're just not able to pay that much attention to what's going on in the ink. So it's not that important to me. Another one that does a trade-off like that is the super jump, the ninja super jump. I forget what it's called, but basically it lets you jump, and there won't be a little ring where you're jumping to, so people won't see where you're going to. That's another one that to me is just not worth it, because stealth jump, that's what it's called. Because in exchange for that, it slows down the jump, which I'm not willing to do. I want to go as fast as possible. So I don't go for the ones where you're trading one thing for another. I just think that's kind of kooky. I like the ones where you're just gaining an ability. So swim speed up, run speed up, ink resistance. You're going to have to figure out for yourself which abilities are the most important to you. Try them out, try different pieces of gear, and see what's working for you. I'll also add in the description a list of all of the different abilities so you can look them up. But they're all on here on your gamepad. You can look at them on there too. So hopefully that was a helpful initial guide. There's a lot more depth to this topic, but hopefully that was a helpful initial guide to gear abilities and which ones I favor and how you can help decide which ones are going to work for you. Thanks for listening, and be sure to like the video with a thumbs up and say something in the comments below about which abilities you like most and why. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe.